Social media is a jungle, or should I say a circus. Hey guys, welcome back, and today I want to talk about the idea of a Fujifilm Gfx 100Rf. Haven't really seen many videos about such a camera, and I've been thinking about a camera like that since the GFX was born. And even from its inception, Fujifilm were showing promotional material that had the Fuji GW690 sitting alongside the 50S and the 50R, sort of comparing the two. Now, the GW690 was branded the Texas Leica because it is an enormous camera, but it is still compact in a way because it has a fixed lens on it that can't be removed, and it's sort of packaged like a travel camera. So you don't have to worry about where the lens is, it's always included all as one. And what would it be like if Fuji made a digital medium format camera that had that? And we should look no further than the X100 series. And I had an original X100 and then the 100F. I loved them. They are true hybrid viewfinders and true rangefinders. And just as the X Pro series, they are able to flip back and forth from a digital EVF to a see-through hybrid viewfinder, rangefinder. And it's so interesting, the technology on those two, that they haven't implemented that in the GFX. I really thought that it was coming to the GFX 50R. And then when the GFX 50R was announced, it looked like basically a massive XE3. And it is. It basically is an XE3 that's just big enough to house the medium format sensor. Now, I love the EVF on it, but it's not a real rangefinder, even though they market it as that. So my idea in posting in the GFX group on Facebook was to get some ideas from other people, get some feedback on what they thought it would be like to have such a camera, or if Fuji would even make it. And most of the responses, as you can tell at the beginning of the video in the intro, that it was mostly negative. And I wasn't really surprised, because that group is very negative in a lot of ways, especially when you try to get feedback on stuff. That's why I do not post my photos in there anymore. If you are looking for constructive criticism, you should go elsewhere. It's basically like putting stuff on a forum, and it's a lot of negativity. But it's a really good place to gauge interest in cameras and lenses. And so, I thought that if there was any interest, there would be some there. And while there was, it was mostly negative. But seeing what a rangefinder camera could do to the lineup, let's just look at what they currently have. Fuji, in its medium format ecosystem, has 4 cameras: the 50S, the 50R, the GFX 100, and the 100S, which was recently announced. Now, the 100S is essentially the same camera as the GFX 100, but it's minus the extra grip. And it's almost $4,000 less, which has, really made a lot of the 100 owners angry. And I understand that. So that really got me thinking about, what if in around 2 years or so, around 2023, if Fujifilm were to announce the GFX 100RF. They're obviously not going to use the 50 megapixel sensor anymore, because unfortunately, cameras are in a megapixel war, just like cell phones. And the larger the megapixels, that seems to be the selling point for ignorant buyers. And it's really sad, but it's true. And the 100 megapixel sensor is here to stay, and within a few years it's going to be 150 or 200 megapixels. By the way, that's way too much. The system, I edit all my stuff on a Mac Mini, and it's not one of the new ones. And so I've had to upgrade it. It's the 2011 version, and I've had to upgrade the RAM and stuff just to be able to handle the 50Rs files. So I don't need that. I don't do massive prints, but I just love the look and feel of the medium format sensor. But anyway, enough about that. If such a camera were to exist, I want to go over a few points about what I would expect in it, what I would like to see in it, and then I want you to give me your feedback on if such a camera would mean anything to you, and if, most of all, if you would buy it. First of all, the camera would have to have, as I said in my post, a true hybrid viewfinder, a true rangefinder. I can't stress that enough. Not like the 50R with just an EVF, but a true see-through rangefinder, okay? So we're going to start with that. This camera essentially is going to look like a larger version of the X100V. And I use that instead of the GW690 because I think the form factor is going to, with the film camera, there's a lot of extras there that you don't need. And you can really simplify with digital. So we've got the viewfinder. Let's talk about the finish. Maybe the titanium color from the X Pro 3. That would be gorgeous. We would have to have a silver, not the gray of the Gfx 100. That's the PlayStation gray. Can't have that. It would be a true silver like on the X100 series. And then, of course, black. Titanium finish would be great to take down some of the weight, but magnesium is fine too if they want to continue using that. Now, the kicker would be the screen. There's been a lot of debate online about the X Pro 3 screen. I like the hidden screen for such a camera as the Gfx 100Rf, because if the camera is tethered to you, like such as with a neck strap, then you could be scratching the screen with buttons on your shirt or a zipper or something like that. And so a screen protector, you would have to have it, and I do that with the 50R. I would love to have the hidden screen, so I'm not a fan of the fully articulating screen, and on such a camera that would be pointless. It's not a vlogging camera, so we would need a flip screen that would be able to be hidden. And that way it would just make the screen thing incognito, especially for street photographers. Now, there was some feedback that I had about using this for street photography. Oh well, people use medium format cameras for street photography. It's just, people, they get me sometimes. Anyway, now, the less buttons, the better. So we don't need a lot of buttons on the back. They've done really well with the joystick and then the touchscreen and stuff, so that's good. I don't want a screen on the top of the camera. Get rid of that. I want dials. I like the tactability. I love being able to feel and touch things on the camera. I hope that doesn't sound too perverted, but just give me some knobs to turn, okay? A shutter speed dial, exposure compensation dial, a la the 50R. Very similar. Just make them a little bit bigger. They need to be taller. Then, let's see. The grip, we need to have a substantial grip, and not two grips, but just one. And it could use the battery of the XT4 and the 100S. That should be fine. And that way, you could interchange batteries if you had all three cameras or two of them, whatever. So then, let's talk about the lens. All right, so we know that the X100V has a 23mm f2 with a leaf shutter, which is whisper quiet, and it's beautiful in execution. So if you guys have never tried one, please do. You'll understand what I'm talking about. It must have a leaf shutter. No discussion. And so this is going to be an all-new lens. And that seemed to be something that the guys in the Fuji Facebook group didn't really understand. This is not going to be like just plastering a 45 2.8 on there that Fuji currently has. It's going to be a brand new lens. So, and let's talk focal length for a second. I'm thinking a 45mm or a 40mm is going to be perfect for the system. It's wide enough that you could do street photography, landscapes, architecture, that sort of stuff, and also be able to do portraits and family photos. Be great. So then let's talk aperture. I think 2.8 is where they will go, but I'm on the optimistic side because I use the Minolta 45mm f2, and it's gorgeous, especially at f2. Fuji, make an f2. Let's do it. But let's just say if it's a 40 or 45 2.8, that would give you the 35mm roughly f2 equivalent, something like that, a full frame, and that would be fine. That would keep the price down, well, sort of down. But speaking of price, I'm going to go ahead and say 4,500 to 5,000 US, something like that. That was my prediction. Now, my prediction is either going to be Nostradamus level or Mayan calendar. It's going to be either accurate or not. But I do think this camera is coming, and I think it's going to be a price such as that, especially in around 2 years. That will be about right. Because remember, you're getting a Gfx 100 sensor, but with a fixed lens, so you can't change it. But it would give people incentive to buy into the interchangeable GFX group if they wanted. And it would also be a great complementary camera to those that already had a GFX. And I'll give you an example. When I shoot weddings, a lot of times I use the XT3, and when I had my 100F, I always had that camera tethered to me because I would use the 56mm 1.2 to do all of my close-up portraits and stuff during the ceremony. But then when I wanted a wide shot, why the hell would I want to switch lenses when I had the X100F? And it had the 23 f2 on there, and I could get a wide angle shot. It was wonderful. Plus, once again, it was whisper quiet. And so that's where I think the Gfx 100Rf would come in and just be a great addition to the lineup. Now, one last thing about it. So we've covered ergonomics and what the camera would look like. What sort of film simulation should it come with? Now, I'm going to be adding some pictures to this video, and you may have already seen some of them by this point because I'm not on screen, so I've got to put something up there. Fuji, every time that they have released a premium camera, such as the X Pro 3 and the GFX 100S, they have released a new film simulation with it. And I don't think this camera would be any different, and I think it would be well served for Fuji to give us a simulation similar to the recently deceased Pro 400H. Now, 400H is interesting because I'm really surprised they haven't done something that was similar to it already. A lot of people argue online that the ProNeg simulation is 400H, but it isn't. If you really study 400H and just look at these photos online, all of these are film photos, and you'll notice that the greens they're sort of tending to be more blue, and the skin tones are very pastel. So whenever you have a wedding client that asks you, oh, I want the light and airy look, well, that is basically Pro 400H. Now, Portra 400 gets really close to that. But 400H is really the pastel look that you want for your weddings. And some of the most beautiful wedding pictures that I've ever seen have been shot on Pro 400H. So a film simulation like that would be very, very interesting. And so hopefully they'll go with that. And in the future, I want to show you guys my current solution for getting Pro 400H in camera. I've been experimenting a little bit, and I've had some interesting results. So, but one other simulation possible might be black and white or monochrome. What if Fuji goes with maybe a new version of Acros or an Ilford HP5 lookalike, something like that? I don't know what the hell they would call these simulations. You know, they're sort of on a roll with their corniness here. They've been calling them nostalgic negative and classic negative. And what the hell are they going to call the next one? Like Pro 400H, are they going to call it wedding negative or pastel negative? You know, just call it 400H. And that's fine. Now, let's discuss the lens one more time. I saw a lot of sort of negativity about there being a fixed lens as well. You know, when I really stressed that there was a fixed lens, Fuji made, or still makes, the TCL and the WCL adapters for the X100 series, and it gives you a telephoto look and a wider angle look, and all it is just glass that you're putting on the front. You just screw it on the front of the camera. And why couldn't that be possible with the Gfx 100Rf? Just make attachments. Then you would have lens attachments that they could sell along with it. And how wonderful would that be? I'm telling you guys, it would be a really, really good idea in my opinion. So I want you all to think about this and to just have it in the back of your mind, because I really think this is going to be the next camera that will be announced from them in the next couple of years. We have 4 current cameras from them. They're all interchangeable lenses, and we're sort of at that point where it's inevitable they're going to make a fixed lens camera. So that's just my prediction. You guys let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you would rather see a Fuji monochrome camera. You know, I've heard that, just little rumors about that for years, and you know, that's possible too. Give me your opinions on this, and please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Lots of more videos like this are going to be coming soon, and maybe some with me in front of the camera too. I've experimented with us, with me and my girlfriend, going out in the field and doing some pictures and stuff, and maybe doing a video of my color editing process. So let me know what you guys think, and until then, peace. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.